Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your favorite casual basketball fan, Skinny Hardaway. Now, what seems to possibly be the closing act of the offseason, we are now assured that Kyrie Irving has been traded after all the speculations we heard over the course of the offseason. The Boston Celtics and Cleveland Cavaliers have agreed to a trade where Kyrie Irving is sent to the Celtics in return for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic, and the 2018 first-round pick, which is via the Brooklyn Nets. I was in the middle of finishing part 3 of my 2017-18 NBA seasons prediction video, which I'll leave a link somewhere for you guys to see. And then my phone starts going off and I see that the Celtics and Cavs were in trade talks. I was slightly surprised, but at the same time it wasn't breaking news that made me fall out of my seat per se. We knew that Irving more than likely wanted to be out of Cleveland, and I'm pretty sure that when him and LeBron met in Miami recently to work out, they discussed this. And whatever was said, I think that they cleared any confusion that they both didn't care for each other, which I thought that was kind of off and false all around. So I'm glad that we're past all that, hopefully, and we got to a solution for the time being. Personally, when I first heard wind of this trade, I heard that Boston only had Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder on the table, which I thought was an even trade. And I know there's people out there that like to overrate and underrate both Irving and Thomas, but I think that they're in the same ballpark value and performance-wise. And then Crowder was just there to spice up the deal, which would help Cleveland since they need help on defense very badly. So this deal seemed pretty fair and both ends would get what they wanted. Well, then the unthinkable happened. As news spread like wildfire, we started to hear that other players and assets would be included. I thought that it would be on Cleveland's end since they were getting 2 players. Well, it turns out it was the Celtics, they were adding more, which really confused me. As Twitter was being overridden with information by the second, I started to think, what the heck could the Celtics possibly throw on top of an already good deal? And then we end up seeing big man Ante Zizic, who looks to be your typical overseas prospect, so I doubt he'll be in the rotation. He has some potential, but I don't think that right now he's going to be cracking rotation of the Cleveland Cavaliers. But then the kicker here is that the Cavs get the Brooklyn Nets pick that the Celtics acquired after the robbery we seen a few years ago. That just threw me off. That really threw me for a bone, truth be told. And to start going into the whole details and specifics of things, in my opinion, I'll start off with the Cavs. They got a great short-term deal out of this one, and that could possibly, emphasis on possibly, help them in the long term. They have a guy who has a similar play style to Irving and now picked up a key 3-and-D player such as Jay Crowder, who shot over 45% on corner 3-point shots last season and was arguably the best perimeter defender on the team. And now they have a lottery pick that could end up in the top 5 or even number 1 depending on how bad the Nets are this season. This move, if anything, just solidifies the Cavs' spot at the top of the East. Now, I'm not saying that they'll go 12-1 again in these playoffs, but they will more than likely be in the NBA Finals again if I had to put my money on it. And when trades like this happen, a lot of questions and circumstances arise. And I guess the big question for the Cavs is, what does this mean for LeBron James? And this is where my emphasis on possibly comes into context with how this can help the Cavs long term. LeBron will be on his last guarantee year of his contract this season and will probably opt out to test free agency so he can get a super max more than likely. And he deserves it, so I'm not mad at him for doing that. What comes into play is that now the Cavs have something to go forward with. They're either preparing for life post LeBron again or going to persuade him to returning to the team, and that they are in a better position to show him that they have a direction they're going in the future with this trade. And on the other side of this, I'm not sure if this is karma or just flat out negligence from the Celtics front office, but there's no way in the alternate universe that I would have let go of a potential 2018 top 5 pick after what I'd already offered on the table for Irving. Not when you have guys like Michael Porter Jr., Marvin Bagley, and Luka Doncic, just to name a few that'll headline the 2018 draft. And to be real with y'all, my biggest issue with this is that Danny Ainge didn't pull the trigger on other trades due to they were asking for too much or the trades fell through on the other end. Here's some trade proposals that were rumored to happen. So in the Paul George saga, because you know that name was running rampant all season, the Pacers would offer Paul George for the 2017 number 1 overall pick, Jay Crowder, Tyler Zeller, or Avery Bradley in cash considerations. The deal didn't happen and the Pacers ended up with Victor Oladipo and another prospect. Yikes. And then they were also rumored to get Jimmy Butler, which the Bulls would offer Jimmy Butler for the 2017 number 1 overall pick, Terry Rozier, and an expensive contract such as Tyler Zeller, Avery Bradley, Marcus Smart, or Jay Crowder. Again, to no avail. The Celtics missed out on that one too, and specifically because Danny Ainge did not want to give up Terry Rozier. Yes, that's it. He didn't want to give a Terry Rozier. I'll let you guys sit on that one. The Celtics seem to have these scenarios gift wrapped for them, but the outcome was nothing in the grand scheme of things. Not saying that they failed or didn't achieve anything, but it doesn't look good when your fan base is asking you to make a move and no action was put behind it. I'm pretty sure now that the fans are as understanding now that they drafted Jason Tatum, who looks to be an offensive weapon if he can grasp the NBA game. But looking back on it, I can see why they are frustrated. And now I know it sounds like I'm trying to slander the Celtics, but I'm not, because I'm about to dive into the hot takes I've seen on social media that the Celtics have lost the trade and that Danny Ainge is stupid for putting too much on the table. And you know what? I agree to an extent though. I believe that Danny Ainge did put too much on the table for Irving, especially since it was rumored that Irving did not want to be in Cleveland, but then came back to be a misunderstanding, which leads to now that he's gone. So we can only speculate if he really wanted to be there in Cleveland. In actuality, this was a low-risk, high-reward situation for the Celtics. I'll break it down to you. First off, Isaiah Thomas is on the last year of his deal and will more than likely be seeking the max amount of money next offseason. And Kyrie Irving still has 3 years left on his deal, so he's locked up for some years where Thomas could have walked. Not saying that he would have, because they could pay him over the cap due to bird rights. Then not to mention they have Gordon Hayward, so that's one aspect the Celtics are okay in. Secondly, the Celtics literally have picks stocked into the 2020 draft. Seriously, here's the picks that they have in the 2018 draft. They have their normal pick, and assuming that they'll be a top 10 team in the NBA next season, I'll put it in the 20 to 30 range. And now they own the Lakers' 2018 first round pick if it lands between the 2 and 5 spots. So again, if the Lakers are bad as they're probably projected to be, the Celtics will have another top 5 pick essentially. And then this is not important, but as mentioned earlier, they had the Nets 2018 unprotected pick outright, but now it's the Cavs pick. But then again, like I said, they're set. And then we jump to 2019's draft where they'll have their own pick again, assuming that it will be in the 20 to 30 range. And then if the Lakers pick doesn't fall in the 2 to 5 range in the 2018 draft, they get to choose between the Kings or 76ers first round pick that could land them in the lottery or even top 5 again. Crazy. And then if the Grizzlies fall out of the top 8 range, that pick becomes the Celtics, which means they can still get a lottery pick. And then they have the Clippers pick if it doesn't fall in the lottery, so again it will be in the 15 to 30 range. And now to look in the super distant future, the 2020 draft, they will have the Memphis Grizzlies pick if it hasn't been conveyed and it is in the top 6 pick. So again, we can chalk that up as another lottery pick potentially. And then they'll have the aforementioned Clippers pick if it falls outside of the lottery, so that 15 to 30 range will still apply. And then to top it all off, they will have their own pick. So if you kind of did the math, I don't know if I did it correctly, so y'all could correct me in the comment section, but that's roughly 5 to 7 first round picks if everything falls in the Celtics' favor. Talk about luck of the Irish. They have more scenarios that'll stretch to the 2021 draft, but I'll just stop right there. I think everyone gets the point that the Celtics aren't in that bad of a position. And truth be told, they're doing the right thing since it doesn't look like LeBron is slowing down at this point. Yes, he coasted during the regular season, but this past postseason was one of his best in his career. So looking towards the future and building something that can last at least 5 years is a great idea on the Celtics' part. Although I do believe Danny Ainge was locked in his office and held at gunpoint by multiple trained assassins to agree to this deal specifically. And for the $1 million question, do I think that the Celtics can beat the Cavs this year or will beat the Cavs this year? In the short terms, no. And honestly, I don't think that they beat them the year after either, barring any major events such as LeBron leaving the Cavs. But by the 2019-20 season, we might see the Celtics return to the finals as they are the most storied and accomplished franchise in NBA history. So on both sides, it's a win-win in my books. Then to top this all off and basically just hit the nail on the head, the Cavs and Celtics play on opening night. Remind you, the NBA released the schedule weeks ago, so there's not saying that, oh, the NBA knew this was going to happen or the NBA did this after this trade happened. No, this was already set in stone, and now this happens, which adds to another storyline in the NBA season. The NBA will always remain undefeated to me, especially with a storyline like this. Like, you can't draw this up on purpose. I guess you could just say it's irony, but hey. And so now my question is, what do you guys think about this? I'm interested in seeing the comments and thoughts from you guys. That's it for me, everyone. Thank you all for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the thumbs up and click that subscribe button and the bell for notifications on my channel. This is Skinny Hardaway signing out.